that?
Oh, 16.
Oh,
It should just be audio. So, yeah.
okay, nice.
So I don't know. I don't think we have any new members here today, do we? Anyone new? You guys are new. All right, all right. Well, welcome to Digipaint. Normally we have a slideshow that explains like who we are and what we do, but since it's a speaker event today, we did not have that beforehand. We do? Do you want us to pull it up right now? Wait. Oh my gosh, it is. Wait, do we have to share? Can you share your screen?
Me?
Yeah.
Wait,
Isn't it?
pull it up. I want to see. I want to see.
This is AJ's laptop.
Oh, this is
Wait,
AJ's
not that
laptop.
share. We're the strugglers.
AJ,
Oh my
you better
gosh.
technology.
It's
You gotta
okay.
help.
I'm old. I've been here.
Oh.
Okay, there we go.
Ah.
Oh my God, the tabs. Are you serious?
That's not even the worst one. Devastating. The thing, it's not even the worst one.
It's that student lifestyle, you know.
Yeah, the college experience.
So welcome to Digipaint.
Yay! Oh, there we go.
All right, so this is our speaker event with Chesney Lattuga. Let's see, can I move forward? Oh, there we go. All right, so here's just our little thing that we have always in our slides. Our vision. Digipaint. The main purpose of Digipaint is for people on campus to learn digital art and grow with fellow digital artists. Yeah, just like learn and have fun and hang out. Just the general housekeeping rules. Be nice. Everyone be nice.
Nice.
Think before you speak. Our admin team. I'm Nora. I'm the vice president.
Elaine, communications officer.
And everyone else is also partially here. Upcoming events. So today is our wonderful speaker event. Next week is spring break. I don't want to see any of you here. Go, get out of here, get out of town. March 13th, casual event. It's gonna be something fun, very low key. Yeah, not decided yet. And then March 20th, we have our zine opening reception. There will be free food. Everyone should come, get the free food, check out the art. We're gonna have all of your artwork from the zine up in a gallery, super huge prints. It's gonna be really excellent.
It was a little covered up, but that's at the Shapiro Library, 3rd floor.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just explained that. On to the weather, our speaker event.
Yay!
Cute. What is
Our
that?
guest of honor.
That is our mascot for the club, Dippy. He's a
chameleon
with a little purple bandana. Yeah. I don't know where the origin of him came from.
Dippy lore.
I cannot say I know either.
He just appeared. So, and now we've kept him for 3 years that this club has been alive. Oh, good night.
Okay, that's for later.
That is for later.
So now the floor is all yours, Chesney.
Oh,
If you-
sweet.
I think did we give you screen sharing privileges?
Hopefully.
let's
I hope so
see.
too.
Oh, it's not, so I have to send a request.
Okay. Allow.
Very official, like.
Very nice.
It's a good night.
I think so.
Okay, so I never use Zoom, so let me see if I could do this. Okay. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Hi everybody. I'm super excited to talk to you guys today because I feel the video game industry is like this very giant beast and it's very daunting, but hopefully what I talk about can provide some insight. As always, this is specifically for my experience at Riot. I always have to caveat that. I have no idea what other gaming industry companies are like, but this is just my little experience. So that's me. You already said my name perfectly fine, so I don't have to explain it. But my name is Chesney, but I also go by Moose on the internet. Both are fine. I have friends and coworkers who call me both, so whatever works. And I'm a marketing creative director on League of Legends at Riot. So I have an agenda, very official like. This is what I do for a living, so I knew I had to like do something fun. So the first part, I'm gonna just talk about me and like who I am as a person and a human being. And then next, I'm going to talk more about my job and what a creative director actually does. Um, and then once you know me and what I do, then I'm going to talk about how I actually got to where I am today. And then my last part, which I'm really, really excited for, is giving, sorry, my cat, giving a deeper dive into what a creative director does in terms of like actual day to day. So I've got four different little sections. And the first one is just about me. Um, so I started playing games at a really young age, and this kind of dates me now that I'm looking at it, showing all these old ass games. But I started gaming really young. I think out of all of these games, I think World of Warcraft was probably the one that I've sunk the most time into, specifically Vanilla WoW and Lich King. But when I was in middle school, I really wanted to play WoW, but my parents wouldn't let me because this was back in the day where multiplayer games weren't a thing. So the idea of like letting your teenager talk to other people online, strangers, was a no-go. So it took years of convincing, but they finally were like, all right, fine, like shut up, here, play your stupid game. And I became so addicted, and I feel like it's what started my love of video games. Um, so much so that I was starting to like neglect basic human duties. Like I would wake up early and play games before I went to school. Like that's crazy because you go to school super early. It's like 5 a.m. Whatever. I realized I was deranged now. Um, so it got to the point where my parents were like, all right, girl, like you need to stop. You can only play an hour of World of Warcraft a day, which is crazy because if you think about an hour of WoW or like an hour of any game, that's barely enough time to do anything. Like get a quest, let alone finish the quest. Yeah, I was so pissed. Um, but coincidentally, at the same time, I was also given a laptop. And why my parents decided to give their like video game addicted child a portable computer, no idea, but that wasn't my problem. So I then decided to play goody two shoes and I was like, okay, fine. I'm gonna start doing my chores. I'm gonna start doing homework. I'm gonna spend time with the family. And I'm gonna go to bed early like a good kid. But then as soon as the lights were off, I would like open my laptop and I would just be playing until like 3, 4 a.m. in the morning. And that was ridiculous. I don't know how I was able to function. And one night I could hear my mom sort of coming down the hall, and I knew that she was going to check on me. So I was like, "Oh, this is fine. I'll just close my laptop, roll over, and like close my eyes, and I'll pretend like I'm sleeping, and it's fine." So the thing about World of Warcraft is that's like a live ass game. There's no pausing, there's no nothing. And I think I was doing a dungeon or I was in a raid or something. So as my mom opens the door and I'm like laying like this with my laptop closed, I suddenly hear like a da, 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 of the background music playing. And oh my God, my cover was freaking blown. I was in so much trouble. The computer was away. I couldn't play World of Warcraft. And there's no moral to that story, except I've loved video games for so long. So I always get excited to talk about working in the video game industry because now I get to look at my parents and be like, well, look at me now. You guys are idiots. Affectionate. So this is me now. That's me in the middle. I think I was playing some like computer bear game when I was like 2 or 3 years old, but I was locked in. You could see I was serious. Um, and this is just some fun little facts about me. I love anime, I love manga, as you guys can see from my background and like the picture there, I collect a lot. It's actually gotten a lot worse since this picture was taken. But some of my favorite anime and manga, I love Death Parade, one of my favorite shows. Kaiju number 8, specifically the manga. I don't love the anime adaptation, very spicy. Classmates is one of my favorite movies, and I also love Assassination Classroom, which is the manga that's displayed behind me here. I also have a cat, Sebastian, who was here for 5 seconds earlier. He's very loud, so you'll probably hear him screaming. Um, And unfortunately, I always hate saying this because, like, oh, I work on League of Legends. Like, I love League of Legends, but I do. I play like every single day. I played 2 games today.
For
I
real.
play Ezreal. I play Victor.
You
Mm.
play
Um,
Ezreal.
I do play Ezreal. I'm so cringe, dude. I
Yes, we
do.
can. I'm also played Ezreal. He's yeah. Sorry, I can't. I just realized you like have him right there behind
Oh
you.
yeah, I was gonna
A
say, oh,
celebrity.
be my bit. That was gonna be my bit of like elephant in the room. I've got a giant life-size Ezreal standee just standing behind me. Um, the team for Heartsteel gifted it to me as like a wrap gift for the campaign, and I cried, so it was very embarrassing. Um, and it's there always, like even like investor calls, even in vendor calls, like he's just there menacingly. And then I also love Plave. I don't know, they're a virtual K-pop idol group. I just love them. They're very cute. But yeah, that's kind of me. That's my delusion. So now now that you guys know more about like me, for better or for worse, I want to talk about my job specifically. And I always get excited because I specifically work in marketing or publishing, same words, same meaning. But that sounds really boring from like a just a word level. It's like, oh, you work on marketing, but I promise it's super, super fun. And I think it's such a great path if you're looking to get into games, but you don't necessarily want to like code shit or like make stuff for the game. It's like you still get to be in that world, but you don't have to do all of like the techie stuff, which I cannot do. Um, so yeah, this is where I'm going to talk about my role as a creative director and my sort of like overarching day to day. But first, I kind of want to talk about what publishing does. So, publishing or marketing, I'll probably say the two of them throughout this whole thing. But at Riot specifically, publishing is responsible for creating really cool shit that revolves around big moments in our games. So, like when we release a new champion, or we've got like a big summer event like Star Guardian, or we've got Worlds, we basically create everything that exists outside of the game itself. So like cinematics, in-person events, brand collaboration, merch, blah, 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 blah. And to kind of explain or give a little snapshot, this is some of my personal work that I've done over the years. So we've got illustrations in here, we've got cinematics. What else do we have? We've got champion trailers, like social content, the Game Awards performance that we just did for Arcane. So it's really a lot of stuff that still revolves around our game. It's just not specifically like the skins or the champions themselves. But we work together with the game team super closely so that it all feels cohesive. Um, so in order to give more insight into what a creative director is responsible for, I feel like it's easiest if I do kind of like a step by step of what a campaign is. And so when I say campaign, it is the specific amount of time where we are in a certain moment. So if it's like Arcane, if it's the Arcane campaign, it's basically everything that we create that revolves around Arcane. Blah, blah, blah. So, first job, when we're getting started with a campaign, this is kind of where the creative director really steps into play, is to establish this overarching creative vision for this moment. Like, what do we want this moment to be? How do we want players to feel? Like, what story are we trying to tell? So early on, I really need to set up a creative sandbox for the rest of the team and partner teams to play in. Because there's a lot of stuff that goes into a moment and a campaign, and there's a lot of people. So there needs to be this really clear creative vision that no matter who makes it or no matter what is made, it feels cohesive throughout the entire moment. So that's sort of like my first job. After the creative platform is set, so it's like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. This is what we want to be. Um, Now it's just time to ideate. And honestly, this is the most fun of the entire process because you just get to sit in brainstorm session meetings and talk about really, really dumb ideas. And this part can take weeks and weeks and weeks and sometimes even months. But it's just a process where it's blue sky, any idea can work. Talk about whatever you feel excited about. And this is a mixture of ideas that I personally shit pitch, as well as a whole bunch of input from the rest of the team. So we usually create this giant mood board full of like sticky notes and references and videos and images and um, random little thoughts, basically anything that can serve as inspiration. Um, so once we've come up with some fun ideas and we decide which ones we want to move forward with, now it's my job to kind of organize all of them together. So when I say ideas or tactics, that means like the individual projects we're going to do. Like a cinematic is a tactic, or an illustration is a tactic, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so now it's my job to kind of piece them together like a puzzle. Like what comes first, what comes next, how should players feel in the beginning of the moment versus the end of the moment. Um, and it's where we take the initial creative direction, the campaign strategy, which is like what's the actual goals of this moment, and all of the tactic ideas that we brainstorm, and really kind of piece them together into this storyline. So, shocker, we plan things. Once the team is feeling solid about, what we want this moment to be, what our tactics are going to be, we then have to go up into investors and be like, we want to do this shit. And they're the ones who hold the credit card at the end of the day. So we have to make it very exciting, very shiny. And my job here is to really like sell that fantasy and kind of pitch these ideas and get them on board so we can get their money. Hopefully everything gets greenlit the first time around, but sometimes we have to kind of go back to the drawing board and edit, but it's not really a big deal. We just kind of go back to them again, hopefully get the approval. Um, and now we got to figure out how to make everything. Um, and now this is where we get into the nitty gritty, like the actual production of everything. And this is where we spend the most of our time. So very heads down, very creating things. And the team is a whole bunch of people. I mean, like we've got narrative writers, art directors, illustrators, producers, strategists, like sound designers, composers. There's so many people that work on moments, and we all kind of come together and build this kind of like narrative together. Sometimes we do things internally, but a lot of times we partner with vendors or specific studios. Like Fortiche is one, obviously, that we partner with a lot to actually create this stuff. And then at this point, a lot of my job is to make sure that everything we make ladders into the original vision that we set into place and really be the point person providing creative feedback. So like, oh, his eyes should be green, she should be more menacing, like et cetera, kind of like craft feedback. But then at the same time, I'm also considered one of the core leaders of the team. So I do a lot of talking and communicating and making sure that the rest of the folks are really set up for success. Um, so it's a lot of reaching out and being like, how are you feeling? Do you need help? Let me connect you to this person. So I kind of have these two hats, one as like a creative expert and the one who is giving very detailed creative feedback, and then the other is sort of like the team morale lead of communication, and I kind of balanced the two through the entire production. And that's like such a short slide, but honestly, that's like months and months and months of work, but it's pretty simple, so I don't need to explain it. Um, but then by the end, hopefully all of the tactic production wraps, and then we ship it out to players, which honestly, this is kind of cringe, but I always have to say it. It's like players are the final piece of the puzzle. It's like we kind of create the initial idea, but players are the ones who like do the fan art, talk about it on socials, like have communities built around it. It's like we give the building blocks, but they're the ones who really make it and transform it. So it's really fun to see. It's like even though our project is done, seeing what players do with it is like the extra cherry on top. Um, and we also like learn and listen. I feel like that's something very unique to Riot, where we experiment a ton, which I'm very thankful for. Like as a creative, working in a company where they're like, no, you have to do X, Y, and Z and only X, Y, and Z, like that sucks. Like as a creative, you want to think outside the box and you want to like do a bunch of different stuff. So that's why I love working at Riot because we're willing to sort of take those risks and if something doesn't land, we learn for it and kind of try and get better. And um, we're just willing to try things out. And I think that's really excited and why I've been at Riot for like 7 years now. I've been there for quite a while. Uh, yeah. Okay. So that's stuff about me and stuff about my job, um, which hopefully is helpful. I don't know. But now I'm going to talk more about how I actually got to Riot. Um, Obviously, this is just my experience. I feel like I don't really need to caveat. And it's also a really weird experience. So I don't know if this is going to be helpful, but everybody always wants to know this. So I'll yap about it anyways. The start of my creative journey was going to art school. So I graduated from Savannah College of Art and Design, and I had a bachelor's degree in motion media animation. So um, the animation side of things. And I loved college, honestly. I think obviously there's a lot of things that you can learn from the internet nowadays, but one of the biggest things that I took away from art school was just talking to other people. Like that sounds so weird, but in high school you're just like babies, and in college you're more babies, but your brain is more developed. So now it's like you're having more adult conversations. You know what I mean? It's not just memes. I mean, it is, but it's like you're talking with other creatives and you're learning how to communicate. So I miss college. I'm so jealous of you guys. I'm like looking in the classroom and I'm like, oh, the golden days.
The blackboards.
Um,
It gets better.
so I graduated. Yippee, good job. Quite a while ago too. I have to caveat. And when I graduated, I did the thing that every single one of my professors said I shouldn't do, which instead of getting a job in the industry right away, I decided to just fucking move to South Korea. Um, so the history there is that SCAD, my university, was really big with international students. So some of our really close friends were Korean, and this was over a decade ago, y'all. I just have to, I'll date myself. This was over a decade ago. So this was before like the K-pop craze, and this was before the sort of globalization of Korea. So I didn't know jack shit about it. I was like, oh, I could point to it on a map. But our friends were like so passionate and shared their culture with us, and I ended up just falling in love with it as well. So I had been to Korea once during a summer in college. And then I decided that when I graduated, it was going to be the last time that I wasn't tied down to like a job or like a mortgage or like a family. And so I had saved up a bunch of money and I was like, well, I'm just gonna go study language and keep being a student. And so that's what I did. And it was really fun. But then, shocker to no one, I ran out of money. So back then in Korea, the only option for foreigners to make a good amount of money was to become a teacher, and I hate children. So I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to teach little children. So this was about a year and a half, almost 2 years. Um, a lot of my college friends were living in New York City at the time because I don't know. That's just where I feel like it's either New York or LA, the big two kind of like industry places. So I was like, well, I'll just move to New York and couch surf until I get a job. And then it turned into a couple weeks of just full-time interviews and applications and figuring out what the hell I was going to do for my career. And I ended up getting a job at BuzzFeed, which was really cool because it was sort of the heyday of BuzzFeed, where it was like the internet. It's like you'd use the internet to go on BuzzFeed. And so it was very exciting because it was like a very, it's like a cool first job. And I started as an intern illustrator slash animator, specifically in the publishing team. So my job basically consisted of working together with clients. Like I worked with like Snapple a lot, like random ass companies who wanted to just work with BuzzFeed because it was, BuzzFeed. And so I would just do illustrations and animations for them based on that. And it was really fun. I started off as an intern and eventually kind of like made my way up the ladder. And I was there for a couple years because I don't know the exact number there. So as I'm at BuzzFeed, I started getting into League because all of my friends started playing it. And I've always been a gamer, but the first time I booted up League of Legends, I was like, yo, this game looks like shit. I'm like, why would I ever do this? I came from like WoW and like MMOs or like Zelda and stuff like that. I was like, this is and oh, I was also pissed. I was like, what do you mean you got to start over every game? I'm like, what the heck? You start from level one, you don't have any items. What's the point? It's just a waste of time. As I'm wearing like a clown face saying that now. So I started getting into League and esports. I didn't really know much about esports other than I think I was in college when I watched like a League opening ceremony. Like I think it was trending on YouTube and I watched it. I was like, oh, that's pretty sick. Um, but as I was playing the game and getting into esports, I somehow convinced BuzzFeed to let me do field research at esports events under like BuzzFeed's name because again, back then, esports and video games, they weren't mainstream. So like there wasn't even like a gaming tab on BuzzFeed. Games weren't being reported or it was just this kind of like unknown that was starting to bubble up. So honestly, I just wanted to go to esports events for free. So I reached out to Riot under like the BuzzFeed name and I was like, yeah, like I'm Mr. BuzzFeed, like I would love to come to esports events. And they're like, all right, cool. And they were really excited about it, but it was just me, like 23 years old, wearing like a press badge and being like, yeah, I'm reporting on the scene. But it was super fun, and I would go to a bunch of these events, and this is when I first got introduced to like the world of esports and like the community, and I was like, damn, being surrounded by nerds like this is really, really cool. Um, and I think I did that for about a year, and I started using Twitter because that's what all of the esports press people were like, use Twitter. And I'm like, what's Twitter? Um, Jokes on me. And I remember seeing a tweet of a job at Riot for a YouTube influencer manager. And I was like, I've watched YouTube before. I could do it. And I sort of half-ass applied to it. And I say half-ass because I loved my job at BuzzFeed. Like I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to move to LA. So, but I also at the same time really loved the world of Riot and League. So I sent the application and for some reason got a call back. Actually, not for some reason. I forgot that back then marketing in games wasn't very normalized at Riot. It was just Riot started off really small and then just got super big really quickly, and there was never really a need to market before this. Um, and so I decided to kind of go through the interview process, and it's a long process. It was like 3, 4 months of just meeting and talking to different people. And halfway through the interview process, my recruiter was like, "Hey, there's another opportunity, another role for you. Would you be interested in it instead?" And it was an art director for the North American publishing team. And so when I say North American, at Riot, we have the sort of central, the sort of global team. And then we also have regional teams based in certain countries who do more like special targeted things for their audiences. So, um, I was like, yeah, sure, I don't care, like whatever. Um, and then I somehow got the job, and then I had to move out to LA, and I didn't know anybody in LA. But the my marketing background that I had at BuzzFeed just really excited them because um, normally when they talk to people in marketing, it was just like a lot of like boring tech bros, and they're like, you're not going to understand games. But I had this really unique experience of like being a gamer, but then also working in the publishing world. So that combo, I think, at least I think, is what landed me the spot. So I've been here for 7 years. Ooh, that's a long time. But I started off as an art director for North American Publishing. And when I say art director, it was a little bit more detailed and granular than a creative director. So art directors usually focus more specifically on the craft, where they do paint overs and they do a lot of art direction, where kind of like laying out, this is the reference style we want to go to. And I did that for a couple of years, which was great. But then I was excited about shifting more into creative direction because creative direction is almost taking a step back and looking at the macro of it all. So I'm looking more about the vision of the entire moment rather than one specific piece. And so I transitioned over into creative directing, still on the North American team. And then about 3, 4 years ago, I moved over to the global team, which is where I still am now. Um, and yeah, I've been here for 7 years. It's a long time, almost a decade, but I unfortunately still love it. So I am here for however long they will take me for. Um, yeah, so that's a rundown of how I got here. Very weird story with like the Korea aspect and BuzzFeed and everything, but hopefully that just gives more insight into how I started at Riot. But then the last part, and this is the part that I'm most excited for, is getting more detailed into, I guess, what I do on a day-to-day basis and sort of how an idea starts from just an idea and transitions into like, holy shit, we actually made something that players are going to see. Um, Starting with Heartsteel, my babies. Oh, so, oh, I love them so much. So for this part, this is one of my favorite projects that I've ever worked on, which was Heartsteel. So the main goal for this moment was to really highlight the individual personalities of each member. And this is sort of the creative vision that I originally put into place of when you see KDA, which I don't know how familiar you guys are with RIP. So if you don't know KDA, they're a girl group that we have. They're very polished, they're very perfect, they're very pristine. They are sort of this like the most perfect idea of a girl group that you could imagine. So Heartsteel is kind of like the foil to that, where rather than being this entire group, we wanted to highlight each member because they brought this very like unique individual personality to the group, almost more like a collective rather than like a singular boy group. So the goal was to really make them feel like relatable and real and authentic to where you could be like, oh, like my friend is such a Kane. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I feel like I'm the Yone of my friend group. Like I'm the mom of the friend group and really just amplify their individual personalities. So a big part of my job is to just figure out how the hell we do that because that sounds great on paper, but it's like, okay, but how are we actually going to tell that story to players? So, um, one of the first things that I did with every single project, obviously, is brainstorm um, a bunch of different things, like anything from movies and characteristics of friend groups versus like my own friend groups, and just start like gathering information on anything that could be a reference or a source of inspiration on how to portray these boys. Um, in a way that feels authentic and believable. You know, they needed to feel real. And it was a very unique challenge because none of our other previous music groups have really taken this approach before. So it was a really fun challenge to work through and sort of peel back the idea that everything we need to release needs to be perfect. And so as I was noodling, I remember this really funny TikTok I had saved of these two guys. It's called the Basement Yard Podcast. I don't know if you guys know the Basement Yard, but they are two friends who have been like best friends since they were kids. And it's these two guys, and they have completely different personalities, but even from this short clip that I'm going to play, it's like a minute long. It's like you get such a clear um like slice of who they are as individuals and their dynamic as a duo. And I'm just going to play the video. Hopefully you can hear this, but let me know if you can't.
This is a banana. This is the top. This is the bottom.
Technically, that's actually the opposite, but okay, go ahead.
Already you've pissed me off.
Okay.
I'll ask the questions.
Yeah.
Top, bottom. Where do you open this thing?
Traditionally,
Where do you open it?
it depends on my mood, honestly. If I'm in the mood for like I'm reckless, I gotta go quick, I don't care. I open it from the stem.
This thing.
Yes.
Okay.
But I've learned that monkeys open it the opposite way, and there's none of those stringy in there.
Cool. Let me ask you a question. You monkey?
Sometimes I also just rip it in half.
You don't know the banana.
Yes, they do.
Like what?
There's a banana. I go, all right, cool. And I eat a banana.
Two things.
Very quick.
One, I did not expect that to happen. That was pretty cool. Two, you're a fucking idiot who opens bananas that way.
I have two perfectly sized bananas.
That's kind of impressive.
I told
But
you.
why would you do that?
So it's pretty funny, and I feel like though it's only a minute long, you get such a good idea of their relationship and like who these guys are. And sometimes as a creative, you just come across a reference that just like sticks. Like it feels sticky for some reason, where you're like, I want to hold on to this for some reason. I don't know why, but I'm gonna like keep it in my back pocket because I feel like something is there. And so now is the point where I go into hyperdrive mode, where I know that there's an idea, there's like a golden nugget in there, but I have no idea what that idea is. So originally the thought was simple, like, oh, we'll just do a podcast with the boys. Like, you know, have it be similar to the clip where you got two of them or three of them talking back and forth. But as I got to thinking, you know, we were already doing a really big music video, which is very expensive. We were already doing another slightly less expensive, still expensive video for the blooper reel, which was a blooper reel of that music video. So we already had two assets that were kind of like big, beefy cinematics. So we couldn't really do something again for this. So that idea was kind of out the window. Um, we shouldn't be doing all of our tactics shouldn't be like the same thing over and over again. So then I started thinking about like different executions because again, like I didn't want to give up this idea. Um, so then I was like, okay, maybe we still do a podcast and it's a single illustration and we add some MoGraph animation on it and then the audio on top. But then I was like thinking, I was like, that's not really visually exciting. What are you gonna like watch this image while listening to the audio for a minute? Like that's so boring. So that idea didn't make sense. And so I threw that one in the trash. And then I couldn't get the idea of a podcast to work. So then that sort of transformed into, okay, well, what if I do a radio show? So then maybe they're just being interviewed. And then I just kind of started thinking to myself, I'm like, will that be a static illustration like with audio that doesn't solve the original issue? And then I started thinking of like canonical reasons. I'm like, why the hell are they being interviewed? Like whose interview show is it? Who's the radio host? Like, do we have to bring another champion into this? And so that idea didn't work either. And so as this is happening, I'm saying this quickly right now, but this is over the course of a couple weeks of me just brainstorming on my own, but going to other people and being like, what should I do? Um, so I'm kind of at a dead end, but at the same time, I really wanted to do something with this idea. Again, it was like it was so sticky and it was like in the back of my head. And now I only had about a week before the big investor call. And in the big investor call is where you need to pitch all of your ideas to get them greenlit. And so the clock is ticking and I'm like, I'm sweating because I know that there's something there, but I haven't found it yet. And I like cannot sleep at night. Um, and I'm the one who pitches the ideas in the call. So like I had to make sure that whatever I came up with was super strong, because if it wasn't, we could get the red light and not be able to make it. Um, so one day I was talking to one of my coworkers and I was basically complaining about this situation. And he was like, well, he's like, it sounds like the excitement is just hearing all the boys like talk to each other. And I was like, yeah, it's just, and it's super casual, something like a Discord call. And then I kind of like pause and I was like, oh, I was like, sorry, I gotta go. Sorry for this meeting. Sorry, this one-on-one. Like, I'm leaving. I got something. Be right back. And so because I'm chronically online, my brain immediately went to those trends on TikTok where you take like audio from like a Discord call and you line it up with sort of like avatar icons and they light up when you speak. I don't know. I see stupid trends on TikTok. Um, and sometimes they take audio from a show and add other characters. It's just funny and it's super simple. So then I'm like, I was like, this is freaking brilliant. Let's just have them do like a Discord call. We don't have to explain anything. We don't have to do any crazy like CG animation. We can literally just have their avatars, have their voice actors come in, record some conversations. And I was like, oh, I like cried. I was so happy. I was like, this is it. I was like, this is the meat and potatoes. And it just felt so authentic and so heart steel, so them, because it's just something that I'm sure everybody in this room does, just hop on a call with friends and just yap. Um, so then we presented it to investors and it got approved. So I could sleep at night, very, very excited. So now we actually have to get the idea made. So the next steps was working together with the narrative writer. Her name was Kat. And then we started working on scripts. Like, okay, what are they actually going to be talking about? Because while the conversation will seem natural, we still need to tell the voice actors what the hell to say in the booth. So we decided to make three individual calls, all like 45 seconds to 2 minutes long. And so now it's just the narrative writer and I in like writing rooms trying to figure out, okay, what are these guys going to say? And I'm just reading my notes here. Oh, yeah. Showing how their personalities differ, clash, intermingle, because the way that we were doing the campaign is we were actually telling you about each boy before we actually released the song or the music video because we wanted you to feel that relatable, authentic aspect of each of them before we showed you what music they were making. So it was just the perfect idea to set them up for these real conversations where they could kind of act like idiots the whole time. Once the scripts were finished, our next step was to record the actual lines. So even though these calls were supposed to feel realistic, they had to be scripted for obvious reasons, but I wanted them to feel as real as possible, with a grain of salt, obviously, because they were scripted. And all the voice actors that we work with are super talented, but I really wanted to push it to the next level. So I was able to somehow convince our voiceover team, which I love them so much, to coordinate one giant recording session with all of the voice actors together in a room, which is really, really hard to do. Usually because of schedules and situations like that, you do individual voice actors in one session. So it's like a one-on-one. But I was somehow able to get all six of the boys in one recording session together so they can just like improv and riff off of each other. So it just feels a little bit more authentic. Um, so the majority of the voice actors lived in LA, which was super cool. So we were able to go to that session, except for Nosh, who voices Yone. So he was the one who was on the other coast. He had to voice in. But that was fine because Yone's sort of like the mom of the group anyways. So it was kind of like this giant voice on the screen, like yelling at the boys to kind of behave themselves. So it was fun. It was a blast, and it was a ridiculous voiceover session. It was about 4.5, 5 hours long. So we got a lot of really, really good stuff. And at the same time, we also had to create um, the avatars for each of the boys. And so the idea here is each of their icons have very specific reasoning as to why they are their icons. Because again, everything needs to feel themselves and individual for all of their personalities. So for Ezreal, he would just use an annoying ass filter because he is insufferable. So his was really easy. For Fel, his nationality is Korean, so I wanted to mimic those like really funny Korean meme drawings. I put them throughout this whole presentation if you haven't seen them before. But and in Korean here, he's saying like, okay. He's very sassy. He's like the sassiest one of the group. So he's also the most chronically online. So we wanted to demonstrate that. Um, for Kane, I wanted to have him flipping off the camera, but Legal was like, no, and I'm like, oh. So instead, he's just doing like a rock symbol because he's also insufferable and cringe. And then for Set on the bottom here, he's a huge muscle boy, so having like one of those like gym mirror selfies just fit for him perfectly. And then Cassante is probably the most like talented and artistic of the group. So for him, we wanted to portray him in this almost like he was getting a professional headshot taken, and it's just very, he goes on calls and he like pitches ideas with this very like sleek and polished avatar. And then for Yone, I think this is hilarious. I don't know if other people like get it, but he's so boomer and he doesn't care that his is literally just the default Discord icon. Like he does not put any effort into to changing or personalizing it. Um, which is just a really fun thing to experiment on as well. And this is kind of like a fun tangent, but what turned into the Discord calls when they went out, the reception was so great that we actually brought these illustrations into the game itself So you can go in and buy all of these icons and like use them for your avatar in game as well. But for obvious reasons, we had to swap in something new for Fel, Kane, and Yone because theirs was we couldn't put this in the game. We tried, but we couldn't put it in the game. Um, so for Fel, because he's chronically online, we just gave him like he's sitting in his gamer chair, he's like shrimping, and he's just kind of like looking at the webcam. For Kane, he's so cringy and try hard that we just have him doing like it's like 2 a.m. and he's listening to music in his room and he's just taking a selfie trying to look cool, but instead he just looks like a total loser. And then for Yone, we were like, well, what kind of photo would he have of himself? And so we did like a government ID photo that he was just like, well, this will work. And it was really cool. Players really loved it. So that was just like a fun little tangent to everything. Um, and so they got made. It's really cool. There's three of them. I'm not gonna play all three because I feel like that's a little extra. Um, but I'll play the last one so you can kind of hear. If you don't know Heartsteel, hopefully you'll be able to understand each of them a little bit more. And if you do know Heartsteel, hopefully you've heard of the Discord calls before. But I will play it. Let me know if you can't hear audio.
You know why I've called you all here?
Shh, shut up!
Make me. The song is coming along nicely.
Hell yeah, it is.
But, a good song isn't always enough. Some of us know that firsthand.
Is he talking about
We
me?
need something extra. Something that will really get them talking.
Like a mascot, because Ezreal would be
A
perfect.
dog. Dogs are cute.
What about a brand partnership?
Not out the gate. What with Mr. Restraining Order over here?
It was one time. Costumes? Although I'm all for a tailored suit. Astronauts.
Guys, we're going to space.
Hasn't space been done to death?
Gladiators, maybe.
Guys,
Can I have a motorcycle?
Absolutely not.
About two motorcycles.
Not a chance.
guys! Hey, look. Aphelios is typing. There's an idea.
Oh, hell yeah. Style and substance. I love it. Phil, you're a genius.
We're gonna need so many props and a warehouse. Time to commit crimes.
All in favor of Aphelios' idea.
Yeah. All
Yes,
right.
do it, man.
Well, boys, better get ready. We've got a spotlight to steal.
Yeah.
Service is on set.
Very cute. Very, very short. But the idea here was this was the last Discord call that went out before the music video. And it was a little bit of a teaser to the music video because if you haven't seen it, it's basically all of the boys decide to film the music video themselves, which is so chaotic. And so every idea that was talked about in this call was inevitably in the music video itself. So it was just like a fun little Easter egg to what became the actual music video. And you kind of got a good sense of how each boy kind of speaks and their relationships with each other and how close knit they were as this group of boys.
You know what
Oh.
I've called?
No, I don't want to listen to you again. These just dull little drawings. I've drawn so many of these stupid things throughout the campaign. But so yeah, at the end of the day, I feel like my day-to-day is genuinely to just be a creative. I think I flex into a lot of things here and there as the creative director, but I'm always the one in charge of just making sure we're going in the right direction. And I love my job. Like I really love it, and I love this game. I love the players, and I love our champions. And it's just like a really cool. It's just like a really cool career if you're looking to do something really close to something you're passionate about. So obviously this was all for Riot, but I'm sure it is similar like this at other gaming industries, but or gaming companies in the industry. But oh my God, I was yapping for so long. My throat is sore. But hopefully this was helpful. I don't know if these things are helpful when I talk about them, but I always get really excited. So, um, our campaigns usually consist of a lot of tactics like the Discord calls and everything like that. And we're just here to kind of story tell and hype build, and just generate player buzz and get people excited about playing the game itself. So hopefully you've gotten more clarity of what I do at Riot and learned some stuff. But I've been talking for a while. Let's do Q&A. I'm done. That's it.
Did you have a question?
Oh, yeah, I think we went on.
We do have a microphone somewhere. Oh, there it is.
Oh yeah, get official.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we can see if it works. Keep it loud enough. Hello. Does anyone have any burning questions? Yeah, we got a few.
Ooh.
We got a few.
Yay, I love questions. Hopefully I can answer them. Don't get mad if I can't.
Hello. I was wondering if there are any other champions you're considering for Heartsteel. Like, what made specifically like choosing like Ezreal or like Kane for the group? Did you hear that?
Yes, I could. I could. I think it was one of those things where we looked at our existing music groups, and we looked at our existing champions that aren't in any groups. And for Heartsteel specifically, we wanted to really focus on the personalities. So rather than just saying, like, oh, this champion looks like he can be in a boy group, we wanted to find somebody who was like the troublemaker, like Kane. And we wanted to find somebody who was like kind of, this big, strong idiot like Set. So I think it was really cool because we wanted them more for their personalities and their vibes together rather than just kind of like picking at random. So we wanted each boy to sort of fill a role in the group. But I can't tell you if any other champions were considered. So.
No. I'm good. Didn't see it. Okay, forgive me if this is like a strange or like I don't or question that you don't want to answer, but like were there any, I guess, ideas that were like discarded or rejected or any and if so, did you have to like abandon them or could you like work around it if that makes sense?
Yeah, so I mean, I think, are you talking about Heartsteel specifically or just in general?
In general.
So, in general, I feel like there are times where we have an idea that doesn't work for the specific project, but we kind of keep it in our back pocket to use again. So, thankfully, if an idea doesn't work out, it's not like it needs to go to the graveyard and we can never touch it again. It just needs to feel right. A perfect example for that, I think, is the blooper reel that we actually did for Heartsteel, which was a blooper reel, kind of like the old-fashioned like Pixar blooper reels they used to do. We did one for the music video, and that was an idea that I had in my back pocket for like a decade, where I always knew I wanted to do a blooper reel, but the concept of a blooper reel is something really, really hard. Because we need to be in a universe where it's similar to our own. We need to be in a universe with cameras. Like there's a lot of certain points that has to make it work. So I've pitched that idea a few times, and it didn't work out. But for Heartsteel, it did. So yeah, you never have to abandon things, thankfully.
Any other questions? I'm sorry, I thought I saw one. Good, so I didn't fully guess.
Yeah. So being a creative director must be like a very like collaborative process, right? So I was wondering if you could speak more to like handling like the logistics of like all that collaboration and like collaborating with like different teams and like sectors of Riot.
Yeah, so thankfully, we have producers because Jesus Christ, nothing would get done if we didn't have producers, and they're the ones who um, are the ones who actually get shit done. So producers are the ones who usually coordinate like the conversations that happen with vendors or facilitate between teams. But for me specifically, I am responsible for kind of keeping a constant line of communication, especially from the game teams. So making sure that a champion likeness is authentic, making sure that whenever it's a skin that we are portraying that properly. So I will say that some of my job is just talking and making sure that people have a lot of viz on things so it doesn't come as a surprise because we can only do so much because of how much is being made. So we really look to those experts to kind of flag things like, oh no, look, she's supposed to have two earrings instead of one earring. So a lot of my job is just kind of like double checking the list and making sure that all of the teams and all of the people who need to be um, talked to are spoken to. It's a lot of yapping.
What happened? Do we have any other questions? No, I have a really stupid one. I can go ahead. I'm just gonna awkwardly stand back here. If I know that you mentioned like kind of like the members of Heartsteel and how they have like very distinct personalities, and it's like you try to like match people like with like Heartsteel members. If you are a Heartsteel member, like or like who do you empathize with the most? Like if you were a Heartsteel member, who would you be?
I hate this question because I hate him so much. And the reason why I hate him so much is because we are so similar. But unfortunately, Kane, I did not plan this. This was the game team who actually wrote this, but we are both Scorpios and we are both ENTJs. So, yeah, unfortunately, it's Kane. That was a good question, though.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh yes.
Yeah, I guess I don't need the microphone because I'm this close to the computer. But I was wondering when you were briefly talking about like the meetings with investors where you're pitching your ideas, what does that look like? Is it just like a presentation on Canva, Google Slides, or do you also have like your collaborators with you of like the visual artists that you've been working with to like form this proposal, or is it like just you? Yeah,
Just me, baby.
just you.
It's usually me and certain core leads of the team, like the brand strategist. So when I say brand strategist, they're the ones who are sort of like my counterpart. So if you think of like creative and strategy, so they're the ones who are actually like, here are our goals. Like these are the things we're trying to achieve. And I'm the one who's like, okay, well, here's the fun stuff we can make. So it's usually just the two of us. And it's a Google slide. So basically what I just went through, we do that as well. So a lot of deck making. That's a big job for creative directors, just making stupid presentations.
Cool. Do you have any questions?
I'm trying to think of them.
Any questions? Comments, concerns?
Carmen.
Okay. This is a shot in the dark, but can we expect any more Heartsteel content?
Heartsteel, come back,
Maybe
please.
like a Heartsteel KDA collab. Like KDA got like so many music videos, like Heartsteel.
Yeah.
They should get another.
Heartsteel, 6 prestige skins.
Uh, yeah, obviously I can't answer that, but I also want a Heartsteel comeback. Like I'm very, very biased, but I am literally banging pots and pans. I'm going up to leadership being like, "Hey, remember that one thing we did? Can we do it again?" So that's all I got.
People will flood the forums. We have your back.
Amazing. Perfect.
This is just a shot in the dark, but so I work for the esports team at University of Michigan. I'm
Oh,
just,
cool.
is there any like secret way to get transparent images of like Riot assets?
How to get what kind of assets?
Like characters or any of like the weapons or stuff.
Like
Ah,
Angie's.
yes, at Riot, but I don't think we have anything public facing. Um, I'm guessing for like creating visuals and stuff like that. I'm assuming. I can't hear you if you said yes, but I'm gonna assume you said yes. Yeah, I don't think I think sometimes for like individual projects, sometimes we share things, but in terms of like base champions or weapons, I don't think we do. I know that whenever we come out with skins, we give like cosplay turnaround guides to where you can follow them if you want to try making the cosplay in real life. But for our base champions, I don't think so.
Okay, thank you.
And another question. Okay, so I have a really serious question and also a very unserious question. So serious first, like when, like, have you ever had like an experience where like, I don't know, something you guys like did one of your, I guess, campaigns like didn't work out so well, and like how do you like come back from that, I guess, or just kind of move on from it and like reflect on it? And then I'm curious, how did the like, the TikToks for Arcane happen? Like, I'm just curious. Victor Nation wants to know.
JB or JB not.
Okay, so serious question first. Um, I I mean, I guess I can give an example because I feel like it's something that the whole company sort of rallied behind was about 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago for season start. So, for season start 2 years ago, normally, for those who don't know, we usually release a big fat and juicy cinematic that is really cool that just gets people excited to play the game and like the fantasy of like fighting and what these champions do. And so 2 years ago, we did not release a big cinematic and instead released something very different. The reasons why that happened, unfortunately, cannot say, but it was something that was out of our control. I also was not on the campaign, so I want to be careful about the way that I phrase things. But when we released I'm going to call it like the definitely not season start cinematic, when we released that and felt and heard the backlash from players, I think it was sort of something that the whole company sort of rallied behind. And there were like immediate focus groups that went up. There were like leadership was talking. It was definitely a lot more transparent and open and less of a like who fucked up and more of a okay, how do we fix this for players? And I think that's something that Riot does a lot and something we're doing right now for Hextech Chess for people who know that in the room, which is very, very spicy. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's so hard because Riot, and this sounds so like, oh, we're like a huge company. Like we're massive and we have to create things that appeal to so many people and so many different people. So I think we just have this underlying understanding that sometimes we're going to miss. But something that I'm very grateful for is that a lot of times, if not every time, we actually listen as to why specifically we missed, and we try to not do the same thing again. So, um, I feel like that's very like, ooh, right games, but it's true. So I have to say it. Um, and then the not serious question. Oh God, the Victor thing. So here's the thing. I love Ezreal, but I also love Victor. I love Victor, like bad. So, I'm also chronically online. I'm on Twitter way too often. I'm constantly lurking. And when season two came out, um, because of Victor's narrative and his storyline, there was just this funny community. I don't remember who started it, but this community notion of Victor Nation kind of going through the trenches because he was going through the trenches. So it became this funny thing of whenever a new episode or a new act would drop, people would be like, Victor Nation, how are we feeling? And it was just kind of funny because everyone's like depressed. Uh, and so then the whole like Jace, if Jace was the one who's at fault, and it was this whole like JB not, like what was he bad? Was he good? And it became this whole TikTok thing. So fast forward, and of course I'm just like reading all this stuff. And so we get to the finale event, and of course, Harry was going to be there, and it was my goal of the night to use my creative director privileges to meet him. And I did. And I don't care because I love Victor, so I did it anyways. And so while we were talking about things, we recorded some just kind of like basic interviews, like, oh, like, how do you think of the reception of Arcane? Like, what do you think of Victor and blah blah blah. Towards the end of that interview, I was like, yo, can we get him to say some like brain rot stuff? And they were like, well, and I'm like, no, it's like funny. Like, I promise it's gonna be really, really fun. Um, so then I had to proceed, and there's actual footage of me doing this, explaining the memes to Harry, where I literally had to, and it was so embarrassing for me because I'm like, yeah. So the first thing, can you be like, Victor Nation, how are you feeling? Because, and I had to explain that whole tangent, and he was super into it. He was like, yeah, sure, I'll say whatever. And then for the JB not, I had to explain that as well. So that was kind of just a funny, memey, because I'm on the internet all the time. I thought it would be funny to hear him say, and it was. So take that. I don't know who take that, but somebody.
I just want to say the fact that knowing you're like responsible for that, thank you so much. Really, really.
Yeah,
Listen, we're always lurking. We're always watching. So
I'm also crying on that, so I also came up with another question while you were explaining. So you know that I'm guessing you know the Jace like icon need more.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So I want to know like which icon would you have?
So I did change my icon to it at work for a while, but in order to not stoke the fire, I will not tell you what I switched it to, but you can guess what I switched it to.
I had the Littlest Pet Shop logo on mine.
Wait, that's so good. Dude, they were so funny, man. Like we were all that was just like a week where every single day people would just be like posting TikToks and like posting different variants, and so many people changed their icon in Slack to be one of the Jace icons. So so good.
Oh, should we try to guess?
This would be the red no symbol.
Red no symbol?
No.
Oh, was it the
Traffic light.
traffic light?
That one was good. That one was good.
Is the green? Was it the green check mark?
Well, that one's kind of it's tough because I saw the whole show before it came out, so like I kind of already knew the stance on it, but I just uh no, it was not the green check mark. It was Jason, another person, I'll say that. And it was a green circle.
No. 10 out of 10. Okay, yeah, oh, sorry. I also have a question. Since you watched Arcane before it came out, like, were you surprised or like by any of like the reactions regarding it, or did you
think like the fans or the players like responded the way that you think, or was there something unexpected about it?
Um, I think honestly it was all pretty expected for me because of I think the media that I consume and like I'm just very like I love the champions, like I love the lore, I love the story. So I feel like um people reacted the way that I felt like they were going to react. I think it's one of those things where we definitely saw mixed reviews of I think a season two is always harder than a season one because you just have when season one came out, it was just this explosion of nothing's really been done like it. It's very exciting, it's very new, and so obviously there are going to be characters and stories that people don't like the way that things ended, et cetera, et cetera. But I do feel like um and this is what I love about fandoms is like headcanons, man. Like you watch something and yes, there is something that is written there that exists, but something that I think makes watching media so amazing is being able to take that and interpret it for your own personal kind of like experience. So, um I think hopefully what people do is like headcanon things that they really like, but I don't know. I hope people like it. I liked it. I remember for season one, um, this was we kept it super under wraps. So only like maybe 10 people in the company knew what season one was before it came out, just to be able to do their jobs. And I was one of those people. And it was before I knew Victor was even in the show. So I remember watching the episodes and when he first meets Jace, and Jace is like, "What's your name?" And he goes, "I'm Victor." I was like, oh. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I think it was just one hell of a ride, man. Like crazy.
Thank you so much. We have another
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, I love questions.
Uh, so this was kind of like how much, I guess, how much you collab between different fields of the game itself. Like you were saying that you get to collab with like the both like the game designers to like the
Mhm.
actual like skin makers. Do you collab a lot with like things like the esports side of it too? Like between regions as well? Like is it like a do you do you have to meet with like representatives from as much as like from NA to like say like the EU to like the different branches? Is that something as well that happens?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we probably meet with the game teams the closest. So like the skins team, like we need to keep that constant conversation to make sure that we are portraying their skins in an authentic way. And same for the champion team, whenever we're working on things for like new champions. So a lot of times there are like leads from those teams. It's almost like the leads from every team kind of talk together to make sure that things feel cohesive. And especially for esports, that's something that since I'm on the League of Legends team, it's like anything that revolves around League of Legends, we usually interface with. Um, so I worked a little bit on Worlds for Heartsteel, but a lot of it is just collabing with a ton of people. So like it's cool because we get to do stuff with champions and stuff with skins, but also stuff with esports. So there's a lot of different segments that all kind of consistently talk with each other and influence each other's work. So it's very collaborative.
Thank you.
I have two questions. One is what are your thoughts on like the other Riot games? If you like play TFT or Valorant, um, or if not, like yeah, whatever. And the other question is for like the upcoming Noxus show. I'm sure you guys have like so much to do, so much involved with that. But just like Actually, maybe this is not a good question. I just realized, like, Loki, this is your job. You definitely know what champions are involved. Um, but okay, other than Noxus, who would you want to feature in future, like, Fortiche animations?
That's such a good question. Okay, what was the first one again?
I
I forget.
Yeah, other Riot, like, games.
Oh, I played TFT a lot when it was in beta. I'm like so addicted to League, man. Like it's so bad. I literally played 2 games earlier today. Um, I don't play Valorant. Shooters, hard, hard for me. I played like PUBG for a while, but I don't know, Valorant for me just doesn't stick. But my mom plays TFT, which is really freaking cool, and she's plat, so she like plays TFT.
Wait.
She's chilling. Yeah, she's cool as fuck. Oh, and then the other one. Oh, this is such a good question. Um, Part of me I love Ionia. Like Ionia, I think is so beautiful and it's just such an interesting the duality with sort of like the actual world, like the Runeterran world of Ionia and then the sort of like spirit world because it's that region is just so close to the spirit world. So Ionia would be amazing just for like selfish reasons. But in terms of champions, um I love Jin. Jin is probably one of my favorite champions. My license plate on my car literally says the number 4 and then Jin afterwards. So probably Jin because he is an absolute psychopath, and I think people, including me, always call him my Pookie because he is. But he's like terrifying, and I just love the idea of portraying these more like dark and evil characters because they're really messed up, and I just love kind of like the idea of spotlighting a more serious tone, even though to be fair, Arcane was pretty serious.
Good answer.
That's a very good answer.
Yeah.
Any last questions? Oh, yes.
So I'm kind of wondering, like, how do you feel like your like childhood and past as a gamer has influenced like your current work?
Like so much, so much. I feel like um I'm very thankful because when I was growing up, oh, I'm gonna sound so old. When I was growing up, video games just started coming out. Like it was this cool new technology, and like the reason my parents had it in the house was because it was like, oh, look, this is a new look, you can like press the button and you can play a game with a controller and da da da. But I think it's influenced me a lot because of my understanding of video games and the community, because I think sometimes in corporate environments, you've got people who are really, really good at their jobs, but they just don't get games. And I think you see that a lot now that games are getting super mainstream, where it feels super out of touch. Like you'll see these commercials where like, I don't know, like random ass companies like a bank or something does like a gamer commercial and it's just cringe and bad. So I feel like my upbringing, I'm very thankful, just gives a little bit more authenticity to everything that I work on because I have a lot of reference to pull from and a lot of different reference to pull from over the years. So very, very thankful.
Other question. Well, I think one more before we have to go, but just like right now, I don't know if you're allowed to say this, but what like media are you excited about?
Oh,
Like what?
dude. In like 2.5 hours, Monster Hunter Wilds drops, baby. Like, I'm super hardcore into Monster Hunter. I literally took tomorrow off so I could play the entire weekend.
Nice.
I literally announced it in our team meeting earlier today. So big on Monster Hunter. Um, I just finished watching Dan, which is really good. Anime. In terms of manga, I guess I'm still reading Kaiju number 8, which is really, really good. Um, Trying to think if there are any other games. I'm excited for Hades 2 when that comes out because that's always fun. But I don't know. I think that like alpha or beta is coming out this year. But also Love in Deep Space. Listen, I'm in it. I'm just saying. It's like this Chinese like dating sim 3D game on your phone. So listen, it's a whole bunch of different stuff.
There's
It's
a lot.
research.
I support you.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know if anyone on the Zoom, we have 2 people, like members on the Zoom. Did either of you have questions? I was just wondering. No? Okay, cool. Oh, there is a chat. I don't know.
You feel like he's cheating.
Nice. Cool.
I guess
Well,
I
it
have a
is.
question.
Oh wait, Justin has a question.
Oh, Justin.
Hi. So I was just wondering, so I live in Toronto and it was really cool because I got to see on launch day of Anima Squad, I see they like redecorated the whole building and I was wondering what was the logistics of that?
A lot. I think whenever we do like physical in-person events, like that takes just as long, if not longer, than a lot of our like cinematics because a lot of our cinematics take like a year, like over a year to make. It's just a really long production pipeline. Um, and in-person stuff, actually, I lied. In-person is a little bit faster than that. Um, but for that, we have an events team who handles like anything that's going to be in person. They are 100% focused on that, so they're able to do it really, really quickly. Um, so yeah, I don't really know specifically on Animal Squad what went into that, but usually we work with our internal events team and then we work with an actual events vendor who is external, and we sort of partner together to actually make everything and transform everything. But usually when we're doing like a physical pop-up, we use a lot of existing like imagery and illustrations that the rest of the campaign is using. So it's just a really nice way to cut down on timelines because we're just kind of like copy pasting and like formatting for a physical space. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
Um, I just thought of another one, if it's fine with the time.
oh yeah.
Last one.
Yeah. Did you participate in Riot Thunderdome? And if so, what are your favorite moments?
I actually have not participated in Thunderdome. I know the only reason is because
Same.
it falls on the worst times for me. It's literally the worst times for campaigns where I'm literally like working 12-hour days and I'm like, I cannot spare any bandwidth. Because usually, for those of you who don't know, Thunderdome is like, it's this event that we hold at Riot, which is kind of like a 48-hour sprint to where if you have any ideas or like random ass things that you want to kind of make, you can spend these 48 hours to work with a team and actually try and make it. Like there are actually some skins and some mini games that came from Thunderdome. But yeah, no, I've never participated. I know, boo on me. I'm lazy.
Okay, so that was our last question. It has been like really great to just hear your insight on everything and also just like your history and like how you got here. Yeah, I don't think we've had a creative director as one of our guest speakers before. So yeah, you offered a lot of new perspective for everyone here.
Yay, that's the goal.
Oh yeah, do you have any social media that you would like to share with people?
I
Twitter.
for those of you who are laughing, I know why you're laughing. I have my Twitter, which, engage at your own risk. But yeah, what is my Twitter? At Riot Moosey. Um, that's the main social, and I'm always on there, so I'm chilling.
Oh, yeah. Would people in our club be maybe allowed to contact you if they
Oh yeah, sure. Totally. Um, I'm trying to see if I've sent my email before, but my work email, I think I sent it over before as a contact. So you can just share that one as something that they can contact me for. So yeah, that works great.
Well, we'll put it in announcements, so if anyone wants to ask more questions or just be in contact, it'll be there.
Even as dumb questions too, those are fun. But
Yo, are you free to play double up? But
Wow.
thank you for your time.
Thank you.
yeah, thank you guys for listening to me yap for so long. Cool. Well, have a good one.
You too.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.